Welcome to your first Social Studies Flip video. Today's topic is political systems. Our objectives are: you will be able to use political systems vocabulary accurately and confidently. You will be able to describe the three types of political systems and identify some examples of each. Tomorrow, you will play a knockout game, and the more political systems you can identify from this flip, the better your chances of winning. First, some key vocabulary you will need to know to fully understand today's lesson. Government, an organization that sets up and enforces laws. The U.S. government meets in Washington, D.C. State, a region that shares a government. Colorado and Wyoming are both their own states. Nation-state, or nation, states that are independent of other states. The United States of America and Mexico are both nation-states, separate from each other and other nations. Constitution, a set of laws that define and/or limit a government's power and express the rights of citizens. This may remind you of the U.S. Constitution, the set of laws accepted in 1788. Let's begin. A political system describes how a state handles issues of authority and power, religious questions, and economic control. Almost all political systems can be classified as being one of three types: democracy, monarchy, authoritarianism. A democracy is a political system in which eligible citizens, or allowed people in a state, have a voice in their government. They can vote or elect representatives to speak for them. A monarchy is a political system in which a king and/or queen has power, which they usually inherit by birth, meaning their father or mother was a king or queen before them. The amount of power the king or queen actually has varies depending on the monarchy. Authoritarianism is a political system in which a leader or group of leaders has absolute control over the people. Often the people are completely obedient to the government and have very few rights. Now, let's look at some examples of each type of political system. Remember, this is a large part of your objective for today, so listen carefully. Even take some notes. What were the three types of political systems? Democracy, monarchy, authoritarianism. Democracies, governments of the people. Direct democracy. One of the earliest types of governments, direct democracy, is a form of government in which all adults take part in decisions and share power. There are many towns in New England that practice this form of government, holding town meetings where all adult residents may speak and vote. Tribal rule. As communities of people grew, they organized into tribes that shared customs and beliefs, many of which still exist today. They govern by tribal rule. Members of the tribe still have a say in group decisions, though the final decision usually rests with a chief or elder who safeguards the tribe's traditions. Many Native American tribes govern this way. Representative democracy. A representative democracy is a government run by representatives chosen by eligible citizens, or people who are allowed to vote. This means that the people hold power to govern and rule, speaking through representatives responsible for creating laws. People can choose not to vote for a representative who they do not like, and can work to change laws they do not like. Many of these democracies have a constitution. The United States, Canada, and India are examples of representative democracies. Let's recap. A democracy is a political system in which people have a say in their government. Three types of democracies are direct democracy, tribal rule, and representative democracy. Monarchies, governments with a king or queen. Absolute monarchy. An absolute monarchy is a form of government in which a king or queen has complete control, which they inherited by birth. Though it was once one of the most common forms of government prior to the last 200 years, there are very few in existence today. Saudi Arabia and Brunei have two of the only surviving absolute monarchies, though their monarchs are called sultans. Constitutional monarchy. Most monarchies today are constitutional monarchies, or governments in which the power of the king or queen is limited by law. They will normally have a constitution, which can sometimes limit a king or queen's power so that they really are only a symbol of the country, without a great deal of control. The United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Kuwait are examples of constitutional monarchies. Let's recap. A monarchy is a political system defined by the presence of a king or queen. Two types of monarchies are absolute monarchy and constitutional monarchy. Authoritarian governments, governments that have absolute control over the people. Dictatorship. Like an absolute monarchy, a dictatorship is characterized by a single person who is not a king or queen, who has complete power of government. Most dictators seize power, or take it by force, use violence to silence their opponents, and limit the rights of the people to make their own decisions. North Korea is currently ruled by a dictator, and until the revolution in 2011, Libya was also. Oligarchy. An oligarchy is a government controlled by a group of privileged people, or people of greater wealth, stronger family ties, or higher political, religious, or military power than other citizens. Their influence prevents the people from having a say in their decisions. China is a sort of oligarchy because it is governed by the Communist Party, with the people having little influence over political decisions. Before 2011, Burma was ruled by a military oligarchy. Let's recap. Authoritarianism is a political system in which a single individual or group of individuals have absolute power. Two types of authoritarian governments are dictatorship and oligarchy. There is one last type of government that can be either a monarchy or an authoritarian government, an empire. Empires have been rising and falling for thousands of years of human history. An empire is characterized by one state containing several smaller states. Governed by an emperor, who can either be a monarch if power was obtained by birth, or an authoritarian leader such as a dictator or an oligarchy, an empire is often conquered and maintained through military force. Some examples of empires are the Incan Empire and Japan. Before we conclude, think on this for a moment. Our world is and has always been full of different cultures. It is important, as you have political discussions with your classmates and others you meet, that you consider this. Remember that though a type of government may have several qualities that help classify it, the same type of government may look very different depending on the nation in which it is found. Also, one nation may contain a mix of a few different types of government, just as a nation may have a mixed economy. Apply what you learned today to help you evaluate these cases. Consider this artifact. What can you tell about the political system of this state? If you can answer these 3 questions, you are ready for tomorrow's activity. What questions does a political system of government try to answer? What are the 3 major types of political systems? Name 2 or 3 examples of each kind of political system. Feel free to watch this video as many times as you need to fully understand the information. Good work!